morning and welcome to the People's Voice on 107.3 Darling FM. I am Paul the Magician.
And I'm Zandas, Okeke. Good morning.
Yeah, today we will be talking about the state of insecurity in the country with particular emphasis on the herdsmen crisis. So many screaming headlines begging for attention. We've learned of the Southeast Governor's stand on open grazing. Governor Dave Umahi says it remains banned. We've also learned of the Abia State Governor's position of how he tries to settle herders and farmers by giving 100,000 naira to every cattle slaughtered or farm land that is destroyed. And of course, we're hearing that the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, is talking really tough. And I'd like for us to listen to what he had to say.
Well, Paul, you could say Benue State seems to be the epicenter of the farmers-herders clash. If you remember what happened some years back in Agatu, one of the very lucrative farming community, and since then, I think I want us to listen to the excerpt, because he said when he started talking about this thing, people thought he was crying wolf. But right now, virtually all parts of the country, northeast, northwest, north central, southeast, southwest, south, is having one form of crisis or the other.
Yeah, let's listen to this.
Country belongs to all of us, and the federal government, the presidency, must act fast, because time is going from northwest, northeast, north central, southwest, southeast, south. There is general insecurity, and this is being propelled by herdsmen. I want to repeat again, I have made it a petition to the presidency and to all security agencies before, that if they want peace, Mayor Tiala must be arrested. These are people who have owned up. They have taken responsibility that they have killed, they maim, they rape, and do all sorts of atrocities. And yet their leadership is in Abuja, and nobody is confronting them. And until these people are arrested, when I talk, I was being castigated. I was being vilified. Nothing bad that was not said against me. I am this and that. But the reality is here. It is not just happening to Benue State today. It is happening to the entire country. Why is the federal government being silent about this Fulani men? When will the federal government come out and criticize and arrest herdsmen carrying AK-47? When are they going to do that? Are we second citizens in this country? What gives Fulani man superior to any other person, to a thief man? I am not their slave. A Benue man is not a slave to any Fulani man in this country.
Well, you've heard it there. That's Governor Samuel Otom there. That what makes one group superior to the other. And the presidency comes out to critique some of the actions of these herders who go about with AK-47 rifles and all that. The better for the country.
Okay, well, for some people would want to say that categorizing all herdsmen as the violent and perpetrators of the killings might just be overstretching it. And some may even argue that there are peaceful, law-abiding herdsmen that go about their business of rearing cattle without looking for trouble.
Yes, that's true. Because 20 eggs are bad in a crate doesn't make the entire crate bad.
Right.
You understand? But of course, you will know that going forward, whatever poultry or the hens that lay those eggs will be looked at critically. That's what's happening. Not virtually all herders are bad. Not all of them. You see some of them mingling in the open society. But those of them in the forests, Paul, each time a kidnapped victim is released, it is the same rhetoric that comes out. They are members of a particular ethnic group. They were speaking a particular language. For those that understand different kinds of language, you know, and the modus operandi, it's almost the same.
Yes,
and you know, their physique is the same as well.
I get that. But if, for example, say in the northern part of the country, we have a lot of kidnapping going on, and those arrested turns out to be speaking the Igbo language, for example, and then many times the kidnappers are arrested, it turns out to be an Igbo man. Will it be right for any group or even the governors in the north to say Igbos are responsible for kidnapping in the north? And
Paul,
their businesses
Paul,
should be banned.
There was a time kidnapping was attributed to members of the southeast, and you know the most celebrated one, what's his name in Lagos, that is presently under trial. You understand? So it is not a blanket cover, but there was a time kidnapping was attributed to people from the southeast. Robbery too was, you know, given to that. But right now, these kidnappings are done in the southern parts of the country. You're traveling and you can't even nap a little because you don't know when they will come out. You see videos saying that this category of people are the ones that have come. They've picked about 18 passengers and they've all entered into the bushes and all of that. You understand? So what I'm saying here is that it has become a consistent cry. The same group of people, you know, different stock maybe, but perpetrating the same kind of evil that is not going down well with the society right now.
Well, we're going to look at the legal implication of all of this, especially as, you know, we saw the Edo women coming out yesterday to say headers should leave their community, that they are tired of hosting them because they are responsible for destruction of their farmlands and killings, rape, and every other vice that goes on there.
I hope you also heard the governor of Taraba State, Darius Ishaku, asking that if the federal government can no longer protect citizens, then they should just allow citizens acquire licensed guns.
Right.
Because if the other man knows that I'm also armed, you understand, there will be a little bit of caution. We might be careless for a while, but after a while, you see caution and probably sanity might return.
And to help us make sense of all of this, we have in the studio Barrister Kissinger Ikoku. He is a legal practitioner, a public affairs analyst, and the Imo State legal advisor for the PDP. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Paul and the great Zandas.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me in your studio once again.
Yes.
And Happy New Year.
And I say same to you.
So we need you to help us understand the place of the law in all of this. On one hand, Southeast governors are saying open grazing is banned, and specifically Abia State has a legislation to back that effect. On the other hand, the governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai, is saying every Nigerian has a right to live wherever they want to live and carry out their business as they see fit, so long as they are law-abiding. So where are we having it wrong in terms of effecting the laws, implementation, and managing this headers farmers crisis?
I think the most northern leaders, especially the of the Fulani descent, have been living in denial, and this is going to cause a lot of problem in the long run. We seem to be tackling the symptoms and not the disease. You see, when a problem evolves, it's important that we go back and retrace from history. And I think that is what the northern governors, in fact, they are living in denial, and also they are failing in their own responsibility. If you look at the Nigerian geography, all of us did social studies. We all know those who are known for which kind of trade in the map of Nigeria when we're growing from the primary school level. They will tell you the south is lumbering and fishery. In the southeast, they tell you is the rainforest, isn't it?
Yes.
Palm fruit and all that, and trading. In the north, it is farming and grazing.
Leather.
And if you go by history, the Fulani people were pastoralists. The typical Fulani man is a pastoralist. He lives with his cattle in the Sahel region and the savannah. They were not in the south. So they live with their cattle. They were very peaceful. I grew up in the north. And I'm going to tell you firsthand that you see the Fulanis when we grew up in the north, in the bushes. Once in a while, they come out with their byproducts. The fura, the nono. You see the women carrying the fura, the nono. And the byproducts, things they can do with cattle byproducts and medicines. They come out, you look at them like foreigners, because they like to live in their settlements. And the north has vast lands. So they go in deep into whatever you call it, the desert or forest. They build their settlement, they settle there, they graze their cattle in the manner they deem fit. There was no problem. They were peaceful pastoralists. So the merchants come from Lagos, from the east. You want their cow, you want their goat, you buy, you load, you move, you sell. In fact, they were not known for coming to the east. The typical Fulani does not like civilization. He stays in the bush, very peaceful, lives with his family. But something is happening, and we must not ignore going forward. When a man is allowed to take 10 wives and have 25 to 30 children, in the long run, there's going to be a problem. It is a problem in my own community. When people without means begin to have children, you have that problem, you have that problem. If you're building a house now in your village, you must raise up the fence, because there are some young men who have grown, who have no opportunity for education, the manner you have. They are just there smoking marijuana. So your own life is threatened as long as they are not developed. Because the Nigerian society has not built an economy and a system of education, a social security, that even those who are not educated will have means to live. So it's imploding in every society. So it is happening with the Fulanis. So a typical Fulani, when I was growing, when I was a kid, when I used to see the Fulani, has grown and have 25 kids and does not have all the cattle to share to them. What does it become? There are drugs. They take all manner of drugs in the bushes. Let me tell you the truth. 80% of the Fulanis you see grazing cattle are not grazing their own cattle anymore. Does it shock you? The northern leaders does not want to talk about this. What they now do is labor. They move cattle for the rich and now take money for labor. They don't have cattle anymore. Let me give you an example. Why I say they are living in denial. There is something called cattle rustling.
Yes.
It has been a problem in the north before you saw it develop to banditry. Cattle rustling is a man who doesn't have cattle, but they raid a community with buses, carry all the cattle of people who have pastoral people who have 1 or 2, 3 cattle. They will load them in the vehicle and move to another far north place and sell it in the market. And we're making money. They are these bandits you are now seeing. They just increased the tempo. And if you listen to people who have been kidnapped, majority from Kogi, Edo, down to the north, they say they are Fulanis. They said government has failed them. They said, oh, they don't have cattle anymore. And the governors don't listen. They said they don't have cattle, so that what would they be doing? And in their whole life, they have learned to stay in the bushes. And it is dangerous to have a drug addict stay in the bush, walking around in your village. No one knows him. So he can commit a crime and he can come in the evening and strike your house, rob you, rob your family, rape, and go to the bush.
Now that we have this, I mean, it's very interesting how you've explained the genesis and perhaps the issue we are grappling with at the moment. Different solutions are being provided. We've seen the solution of banning open grazing in the southeast here. the Muslim rights concern demanded from the federal government soft loans be given to these herders so that they can buy lands for ranching. That's a solution that Murich is given as a solution. And of course, we're hearing that there are security groups that want to take laws into their hands and chase these herders out of their community. We've seen what Sunday Igboho is doing in the southwest, and of course ESN, Eastern Security Network, what they are doing in the southeast. Where do we go from here?
Let me get your question again.
Okay, we are going to take a commercial break, and then when we return, we start looking at the solution. Since we have a big problem before us, yes,
the solution.
And we cannot continue to live in denial, as you just explained. Then we have to check all the available options before us, and then hopefully at the end of the program, come up with something workable so that we can live in peace. Stay tuned. It's the People's Voice here on 107.3 Darling FM.
Darling FM 107.3.
Nne, nke ị na-ebugharị silinda iburu gbago iburu gbada.
Maazị Ibe, ike agwụla m o. Amaghị m ebe ọzọ ga-abụ nga agbata gaasị nji esi nri. Ndị Shaw maka
Osugo nwaanyị Orogwe ekpesazina maka na ndị na-eji mega gas plant awụchala ọzọ n'Orogwe anyị a. Lee Enugu Oke n'ekwekwa bọgịrị savisi ha na-enye kara aka. Ha buru ụzọ ha anara gị silinda gị gbajuru gị ya ojupụ m n'ọnụ. Ha ewere aka ha dọnyere gị ya na moto. Ha na-erekwazi silinda na accessories ya ma na-edozikwazi silinda mebiri emebi. Ngwagaba ugbu a na Uhu Afọmakọ dị so n'ụlọ ụka ndị Salvation Army Orogwe Owerri West Local Government Area of Imo State. Ka ị bara okwu n'ụlọ kpọọ n'akara ekwentị a 09137720001 maọbụ ị gaa na webụsaịtị anyị www.regimgas.com.ng. ma cheta na anyị nwere Regime Gas Plant n'Egbu Road n'iru Relief Market Owerri ya na Warrior North Pocket Layout Irete Egbada Junction Onitsha Road Owerri. Regime Mega Gas Plant esimesi ebirila ọkụ.
Rental hotel and suites. I'm on my way from home. Hotel and suites. For your luxury and comfort. Enjoy yourself with good hospital.
Mr. Charles, how was your night?
I slept like a newborn baby. It's so awesome.
Your comfort is my priority.
Thanks, Mike.
Think of home. Think of Rental Hotel and Suites.
Rental Hotel and Suite is a world-class hotel aiming at redefining the hospitality perception. Crystalline clean with exceptional services of international standard. You can get exclusive rooms of different types. World-class swimming pool, gym, ample parking slots, laundry services, internet services, conference hall, African and intercontinental dishes. And at Rental Hotel, you can get complimentary breakfast. We also have executive bar, cool bar, and we offer airport transfer. Visit Rental Hotel and Suite at Rental Roundabout, former 4040 Roundabout, New Owerri. Or call 0704-984-5794. Rental Hotel and Suite. Rental Hotel and Suite, a place to be.
Dr. Homel's advanced formula get 21 bioactive nutrients wey go make your body strong kakaraka. E get hemoglobin wey dey use build your blood, Iberian ginseng and B complex for energy and strength, choline for fatty liver and brain function, omega-3 for cardiovascular disease, plus including green tea and lycopene. If you dey pregnant, make you consult your doctor before you use am o. Every family need Dr. Homel's ogbonge multivitamins and mineral supplement. E dey for liquid and tablet o. Dr. Homel's anaghị agba ya draw.
Everyone has a place they need to be. Everyone has a face they need to see. When you go away, you love to fly, and we fly you safely through the skies. It gets affordable. See
For bookings and more, visit our website today on www.flyairpeace.com.
Charles!
Yes, mommy?
Go and bring 2 sachets of hyper bleach for me.
Why 2?
Because I'm using one to soak the whites and using one to kill all the germs.
But I can't see any germs here.
They are so tiny you can't see them. But they are there. And that is why I trust only hyper bleach to kill them all.
Make your white fabrics whiter and your household free of illness causing germs and viruses with the disinfecting power of hypo bleach.
Darling FM 107.3.
You're still tuned to 107.3 Darling FM. Today on The People's Voice, our focus is on the headers farmers clashes, the situations before different governments, I'm talking about state and federal level, and the solutions being proffered. Our guest, Barrister Kissinger Ikoku, has given us what seemed to be the genesis of the problem, the fact that population is increasing, and so the Fulanis, of course, are increasing in population, and having the burden to feed the family have perhaps taken to rustling of cattle in the north, and now in the south we're experiencing maiming, killings, destructions, and evil banditry. And perhaps if I should add another, should I say, genesis of the problem, is that there is serious desertification in the north. A researcher once said that out of the 19 northern states, 15 states are already losing their lands to desert. Right, so that explains why they continue to move down south.
Even terrorism
is
breeding ground for terrorism.
Okay. Now, I presented before the commercials different solutions that have been proffered. In the southeast, governors agreed that open grazing should be banned. And then I said just recently, the Muslim rights concern group said that one of the solutions is for federal governments to provide soft loans or palliatives in terms of cash for headers to be able to buy land that they can use for grazing. And then you have the last set, the likes of Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu, that are choosing to use, should I say, force to evict the headers from their communities as a solution to this headers farmer crisis. I'm asking you, as a barrister and one who understands the law, what should we do? What would your solution be if you are asked to advise the government of the day?
You see, this is the sad part of it, that our government does not even the solution to a problem is, first of all, diagnosing it. If you are sick for malaria and you're drinking a medicine for pile, of course you're drinking a medicine, but it won't be a solution to the problem.
Malaria.
So we must first of all recognize a problem, diagnose it, before we can find a solution. The federal government, as presently constituted, does not seem to understand the problem. And because they don't understand the problem, they want to go the normal way of government. Oh, we release money and some privileged people will go again and feed on that same money. Or they will say, okay, 2 billion naira to help fund these pastoralists. Before you know it, before it gets there, some people will do seminars and all that. Before you know it, they have already taken 1.something billion from there. Most people make money and build houses from the money. Look at the simple problem. This is where these northern leaders are getting, and this is where it pains me when they cry over issues of restructuring. I tell you the truth. Investment in animal husbandry is one of the biggest cash cows. Agriculture should be the major mainstay of the Nigerian economy, and the North has the greater advantage. But you see, the craze for oil money coming from the south, from the Niger Delta creeks, has made everybody lazy. If you go to the US, go to Netherlands, go to Europe, the pastoralists are the richest people. Those who have livestock, they produce them in the countries and have the byproducts well processed, and it goes to McDonald's and all what have you, and their money trickles in. Now, nobody has thought about improving the yield of the kind of cattle that are available in the north. Federal government can invest, or even the state governments, if they had vision, should have improved the system and the way a manner cattle is being grazed in the north over the years. If they had started over 30 years, by now most of those Fulani herdsmen would have been richer and better employing people. Let me give you an example. We have so much cattle, but we don't produce milk. All our milk are being imported. I don't know how much they say Nigeria spends on importation of milk products yearly. How many billions? And that's part of the inflation. We spend money on foreign exchange. Rather, we are supposed to be exporting dairy products. Now, who can see and improve the value chain? How do we go and buy the cows in Scotland, the cow in Chile, the cow in all these places that can produce great milk within few months, that you can graze within a short time, and it will be so big and high yielding and produce more meat?
But some people have argued that even if we do what you've just said and we continue with the normal trekking of cattle from the north down south and back to the north, that it won't produce the...
You're not getting me. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It starts with education. For instance, we are not fishermen, but in every houses now people are producing fish. How did it come? Is it not by education? A lot of people invested in fishery and began to sell fingerlings and did seminars and taught people that you can even... I know a family that produces the fish they use just using artificial pool at their backside.
That's right.
Simply education. We didn't grow in the Niger Delta, we didn't grow in the riverine areas, but we are producing fish. A lot of youths have gone into poultry farming. They didn't inherit it from their father, but because of education, because of the availability of the feeds,
so
you learn.
The headers ought to have been
Even
educated.
piggery. That is the thing.
Yeah, but
It's a deliberate policy. A government to say, look, cattle rearing is a policy now. We are gonna teach people. That's what I was saying. You cut me short.
Okay.
When you talk about value chain is about understanding these people are already doing cattle grazing. How do we improve their life through it and also make it beneficial to the country? Take for instance, there are seedlings, palm seedlings, they call tenera seeds. When they tell you to come and buy it, because the palm trees we have, you have to wait for many more years before it will start yielding. When it yields, it doesn't produce many bunches. So if you wait on our local palm tree, you may be waiting forever. So some people have done the research. They will go to Malaysia, pick the seedlings, improve seedlings that has been improved, that they give you a timeline that within 5 years it has started producing. They will tell you what you need to do to get higher yield of the palm fruit, because we already have the land, the vegetation for it. We already have palm trees, but our own is not very commercially viable, because the palms that are being that are producing now were the ones put on under my grandmother and my grandfather, and they are saying no, that's not the way to go. They now give you the tenera palm fruit, give you the training on how you put it in your farm, and within 5 years you are producing, and the yield is higher than our local. That's what I'm saying. Governments in the north should make it a deliberate policy, just like we have taught people how to do fish, what is the snail farming, grass cutter. They should go to countries and take the Fulanis down to those countries where animal is well husbanded, where they are kept in ranches, and also teach them how to buy the feeds, because we buy the feeds for poultry, we buy the feeds for fish, we buy the feeds for. Why can't they buy the feeds?
How do we now different? Because you, at inception you talked about their culture. They're pastoralists. They do not believe in civilization and all of that, and they want to stay with their cattle in the bush. And now you're saying the northern governors should come together, make the policy, take them to where developed countries where this whole thing is done appropriately.
No, this part of the problem.
Yeah, so how something you know, it's part of their culture to stay with their cattle. And how do you now divide that? Take them into a
training center.
Understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
That was a trend. We as government over the years shouldn't have allowed that to fester. First of all, the pastoral schools are made available for their children. From there, you now train the children on the modern ways of animal husbandry.
But that's long term.
And now help them improve the value chains and show them the opportunities that can come. That is not just wild grazing, moving from this place to this place. That you can situate yourself in your place, even with desertification, and still make money.
All right, barrister, we have failed.
Federal government can import. Let me give you an instance. Federal government can import the what do they call it?
You've given
the pasture.
You've given enough.
We can import the pasture and do what?
And distribute.
Ranch.
No, I mean subsidize it.
You have given enough illustration.
Subsidize the pasture.
Just get my drift.
If they don't have grasses, if the grasses is in Kogi, get people that produces grasses to Kogi, and get a way of trading it down to Katsina. So because there was no deliberate policies over the decades, it has now metamorphosed into a problem.
And that's where we are now. And that's why I was asking all of these different solutions being profiled and on the table. It's such that we can address the crisis right now.
Okay, let me give you my take on the solution.
Yes, because
my take on the solutions is to first of all agree that the issue of Fulani herders and the way they graze cattle has become obsolete. It doesn't make sense anymore that somebody, a citizen of a country, have to graze cattle, and you say he moves from Katsina down to southeast on foot. It's no longer terrible, and it's even worse when they now tell us that most of those perpetuating these crimes are Fulanis from Central African Republic, Kano and Niger Republic, that they have right by virtue of ECOWAS protocol to move anyhow they want. That is more insulting.
So if they don't move to south, where should they graze?
No, what I'm saying, I've given an example. I've read a documentary in Chile where cattle farmers they are well documented and registered, and each cattle has a microchip put in his body to track the movement of cattle.
Okay.
I've also watched a documentary in wildlife where, in order to track the movement of endangered tigers and all that, they put a chip on their body so that conservationists can monitor them. So look at what I'm talking about.
Hold on. I don't want us to lose focus of the fact that there are legitimate herders and there are rogue herders who are in the bushes rustling cattle and killing people, maiming. So that we don't spend all the time here in the studio and we don't accommodate calls from people. We've identified the fact that there are many herders that have gone rogue and may not be the legitimate herders.
Yes.
Good. How do we stop these herders, the rogue herders?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now,
you're talking about microchip on cattle. That is for the herders that are still carrying on their business legitimately.
Yes.
The ones in the bushes killing people, kidnapping, and perhaps not even escorting cattle.
No. Once you enumerate and profile and register those who are genuine herders, first of all, we must eliminate that system whereby the Fulani stays and he's invisible. Nobody knows him. Somebody stays in the bush in your village. You don't know him, you don't know him by name. But he has a right to be grazing in your village. It's wrong. Because he can commit anything and go offline. So what are we talking about? If a Imo State, for instance, we don't think. If we think, for instance, Imo, our own is not even, our problem is not multi-diverse. We can't have more than 100 herders, genuine herders. So, we have a program to register them and enumerate them and know where they base. If you're based in Ohaje Obema, we should know. Your name is Mr. Abu. Do you understand? And you are a herder. We should know how many cattle you have, how many workers you have. And then, like I talked about the microchip, for instance, if we have a system like that. Now, if you are based in Ohaje Obema and someone shouts in Mbitolu or Irete that cattle has destroyed his crops, you can now begin to think whether it is the one in Mbise, is it the one of Okeke. You should be able to have a way to know that it is Mr. Abu, the one that is in Ohaje Obema. So how did you move from Ohaje Obema to Irete? So that adequate compensation can also be demanded because you know the person.
Okay.
So when they are known, they are less likely to cause a lot of problem. Then when you have gotten the genuine people registered, you have now isolated those who are not and should not be grazing in Imo State.
All right.
So that when they now cross, Imo State will say, look, you have, just like if your trailer is coming now with a farm product, they intercept you, collect the revenue for Imo State. So if you are not one of those who we have registered, who we collect tax from, who we have given ground rights to graze in areas Mbise or Mbano or Okeke,
okay,
and you just cross in, and we get you, okay, you are not registered, then we not have a livestock registry office.
All right, so
once you come into state, you register.
We should register all the headers in the state.
It doesn't sound easy.
Someone has to start it.
We're going to
That's what that's what Ondo State has done. After quarreling with the governor, they accepted it.
Okay.
So you use it to isolate the rogues. Because when you now catch the road and he says he's a herder, then you now know he's not a herder.
All right, hold your thoughts. There's more questions, so many questions I want to ask, but let's bring in callers at this point, waiting to join us. 0815-050-1073 is the number to call. Conversation is already ongoing on Facebook, and of course, you know we're live. So look up Darling FM Owerri on Facebook and join the conversation. Hello, good morning.
God bless you, Zandas. God bless you, my own presenter, and God bless you all. Our guests are welcome, sir.
Good morning.
All right, so your name, where you calling from, 1 minute maximum, so we can take other people waiting to join us. Go ahead.
I remember logo. If I want important, they call the spread, the revolution is worldwide. Permit me to thank our guests. These are top of the ones in this country. Again, let me say my voice here. The only solution I am praying for, and I have seen, is that if Buhari goes out, this AK-47 will not be carried along again by Fulani herdsmen. What are you doing with AK-47 and cows? What is the relationship between AK-47 and cows? I ask Mr. President, why can't you come and say no more AK-47? You said you have banned people carrying AK-47 and guns. Why are Fulani herdsmen proud of carrying AK-47?
All right. That's your question. Over a minute, but you're leaving us with more questions.
Yeah, but we need to correct something. The Fulani herdsmen or the herdsmen didn't start carrying AK-47 when Buhari came to power. It has been an ongoing thing before his emergence as president.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Paul and Zandas.
Good morning.
Yes, this is from River State.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, our guests, God bless you. I say all. Our guests.
God bless you.
May God bless you. You will live long life.
God
He has
bless
said it all.
Go straight to your
That's from the
point.
beginning. When I did the program, he said it all. What I want to add is this. It's time for statistics to rise up now. The things are out of hand. Men, how can a man marry 7 wives, 8 wives? After everything, what are you going to resolve? It's hunger. Now hunger is pushing them out of the rain. So he said it all. That was the poor standard. Now some part of governor for us let us legalize gun. Yes, someone will say as form of no, how can we legalize gun? No, it's up there. Someone will can't take the gun and start to say anybody anyhow. No. They're going to make law on it. Make law on it. Yes, have license, fight all right. Don't use it anyhow. If you do it anyhow, they will harm you.
All right.
I mean, we'll make all this will stop.
Okay.
If you go to Haji Women now, I'm talking to you now this morning, my dear brother. Or Haji, I called my friends from Haji here. From Richie here. This Richie Old Road. They are still patrolling from Richie here. Broken road.
Okay, sorry, over 1 minute already, but your solution is that guns should be legalized. All right, first caller says is waiting for President Buhari to leave office as a form of solution. Let's take another call. Hello, good morning.
Sorry. Hello?
All right, good morning.
Yes, I'm sorry. My name is Charles from World Bank.
World Bank, okay,
All right,
go
Charles,
on.
go ahead.
I wonder why that Sohai farm in Kwara, there's a farm that is in Kwara, yet by Bukola Sarake, the then governor of Kwara State. If we can remember, there's a farm, dairy farm, and that farm is doing very well. I don't know about now. You see, so why can't the northern governors replicate such in the north? Second, I call on all well-meaning Igbo businessmen to look into cattle, because once an Igbo man looks into cattle, the narrative will change. We still have land in the Bunya, we still have vast land in Southeast. So if they can look into effect, they are not government, they don't have to do it and do it well. Once they look into it, they know about what to learn. Before you know it, we might begin to teach children how to do it better. Thank you very much.
Okay, we might as well start investing in cattle.
I'll tell you one funny thing that happened to an Igbo person who told me. I just got information who invested in cattle somewhere in Ohaji Bema.
Yeah.
He bought this, Ohaji Bema, they have this massive land. He bought it and then bought some cattle in 20s, and got some Fulanis, some young Fulanis to graze for him. And they were doing just that. And over a period, they woke up and he got a call that 80% of his cattle has been rustled. That they were asleep and people came with vehicles and moved his cattle. He arrested them, nothing came out of it. They went from Obinze to the held in Obinze to the police, nothing came out of it. Cattle remained about less than 10 and they were grazing less than 10, and they called him again and said, oh, the people came by night again and carried all the cattle. So I tell you the truth, in Imo State, for instance, the police knows, the army knows, one man has majority of the cattle that is being grazed in Imo State. So those who graze it are just his boys. So if our problem is known, we have to register them. They have to pay appropriate tax. And we have to now have a modern way of information technology to know which cattle is in Ikedru.
Okay.
Which cattle went to Ikedru, so that when they destroy the crops of people, we don't leave the people to be shouting. Let me give you, it's so painful that an old woman will go to her farm and see that her crops have been destroyed. And there is no local government chairman there and then to talk to. You will expect her to now leave her bush to the house, take her bath and start going to the local government chairman or to who? So we must begin to take this thing as a deliberate policy. There should be a commissioner on animal husbandry. That commissioner has to set up policies for registration of those who will rear cattle in Imo State and not put a warning. Whether you are from Central African Republic or Chad or Niger and you want to graze in Imo, because the Land Use Act is very clear on that. All lands are vested on the governor.
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Of a state.
All right, it's very logical what you're saying. I mean,
before you come into Imo and begin to graze in a land that is not your own, please come to so livestock office. And since we know you come from the north, for instance, we cite the office in Okeke, we cite it in Akokwa. Once you come, first thing you do, house yourself somewhere, register. We now know you. Put a way to identify your movement, a tracker on your cattle, so that when something happens in Onimo and they report, simply the people now call Mr. Abudu or Mr. Umaru or Mr. Sinkafi and say, look, it's your cattle that went to Onimo. You gotta pay.
All right, hold your.
But you don't leave it to the women of Irete.
All right.
To come naked and be shouting on the expressway.
We're going to take another commercials. I was going to say that if the government can register every business in Imo State and collect tax from them, I see no reason why the solution you're providing right now would be too cumbersome for them.
Why they can't register? Well, but just because of the way and manner the cattle herders move from one point to another.
Yeah,
that's just the problem.
Okay,
they need to be registered.
All right,
I know.
All right, let's we'll take more calls, take more comment from Facebook on this matter before we conclude. Stay tuned.
107.3.
In accordance with the Nigeria Communications Commission, NCC's mandate to link every phone number to the user's national identification number, NIN, 9Mobile as your network of choice is making the exercise nice and easy. Simply dial *996#, verify and link your NIN. Better still, you can visit www.9mobile.com.ng/NIN to do the same. Remember, a stitch in time saves all the 9Mobile benefits you've always enjoyed, so hurry now.
Make your life better with BBC News Pidgin. To get better for this world, you suppose know wetin dey. Make better tori ginger you from your domot to the whole world. Because when you see every for the world, anything dey possible. Make your life better. Search for BBC News Pidgin.
They say, when life throws you lemons, you make lemonades. We say, lemonade not tire you when you can. Refresh yourself with the new Super Yogo lemon flavor. Then get up and keep going. After all, it's what you make of what life gives you that really matters.
Introducing the new and exciting Fun Milk Super Yogo lemon flavor. Your on-the-go refreshment to keep you going. Super Yogo lemon flavor, another quality product from Fun Milk PLC.
Darling FM 107.3.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello?
Hello, good morning. We can hear you. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Steve Waniri. I'm calling from Nazir.
All right, you have a minute.
Yeah, please, the bank has made very good submissions. But let me add that allowing movement of cattle at all has its own problems. All over the world, ranches are established for those kinds of things. The feeds are there. We can produce it. Nigeria can produce them in a matter of time. It is not rocket science.
Okay.
Keep them in a place. The quality of, it will affect the quality of meat they produce, the quality of milk that they produce, everything. If you warehouse them, put them in a ranch, put them in that and feed them well, that is the beginning of post-harvest. The value chain will be very well monitored for the things I want to use them for.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's the solution. Let's take another call quickly. Can we do two? Hopefully. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Zandas and Paul.
Good morning.
Good morning, our guest.
Good morning, my brother.
The voice of Only is the logo.
Go on.
Please, I want to understand the difference between cattle rearing and the Fulani headsmen carrying AA-47. Because when the president came into power, he asked every Nigerian to surrender arms and ammunition. Then he went ahead to the West African, the whole Africans to come into the country without a visa. You know that the Fulani herdsmen from Mali, from Congo DR and all the rest will come into this country. What are we not talking about? Please let us differentiate between the herdsmen that is killing and the herdsmen, the Fulanis that are cattle rearing.
Okay.
Because the Mr. President know what is going on in Nigeria. Thank you and God bless.
Okay. I'll do one more call and we wrap it up here in the studio.
Okay.
And hopefully you might want to give your last thoughts on this. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Paul and Zandas. Good morning, Barrister Kissinger in the studio.
Good
My
morning.
name is Chief Uduma that I usually come from Duchess on the Democrat. At this point, I'm doing exactly so. You see, what is happening to the herdsmen in the country can best be described as a blessing in disguise. Because you see, the problem has persisted. I mean, without any solution, being found. Now that some regions have decided to take the bull on the horn by dealing devastating blows on them, even though there are reconciliation moves going on. But what is baffling me most is the position of some northern leaders like Laji Tofa and of recent El-Rufai. And I know go to ask, where have they been all this while? Why have they been keeping quiet over the problems that are being perpetrated by these herdsmen in their own communities? Is it now that maybe a reprisal attack or action is being taken on them that they now feel free to speak? It is unfortunate. That is why I say that what is happening to them now is a blessing in disguise to Nigerians. And I know, to the best of my knowledge, that sooner than later, a solution to that will be found.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, all right. Some comment on Facebook before we take the concluding remark from Barrister. Ikena on Facebook says Hausa Fulanis should leave our forests. They should go to the town, city to live. Using cows to destroy people's farmland is not acceptable. That's Ike Man from Dubai. All right, Felix Chuku says, for God's sake, my people, we have spoken too much grammar on this insecurity in Nigeria without taking any deliberate action to control it. Federal government have failed totally in their role as a father in this country. Solomon is saying that he wants to tell that everybody he's profiling, everybody should carry AK-47 as a solution. All right, so yes, let's take a concluding remark, bearing in mind that we had a caller who says that allowing grazing in terms of movement from one locality to the other is even a problem. It's not enough to register them. And then, of course, last caller, Chifubuaja, is saying that this is a blessing in disguise. It's high time we do something about it. Let's have 1 minute.
You put it down to the short-term solution and the long-term solution.
That's right.
The ranching will definitely take time, especially when you see people who have left their places and have settled in other states, So, but the long and short of it is that we understand that this whole problem is about desertification, about lack of cattle, about lack of education and value chain on pastoralists. Then as long as development is going, and again population is also exploding because need for land is becoming more, there is no unused lands presently, so there will continue to be strife. So the government must begin to sit down and deliberately design a program for the pastoralists to teach them new ways of grazing cattle and making more income than wild grazing. So this will solve a lot of the problems we're having today. It's going to be a deliberate effort. It's going to take a steady long-term investment. Let me give you an instance. They talked about Ruga, and they were thinking about getting land in every state in Nigeria. That was where they got it wrong. They should have started with the states in the north that already have land. Kaduna has massive land, and they also have a good vegetation for the pasture that the pastoralists need. Why not do a prototype in Kaduna? By now, if some people must have been sighted in some regions in Kaduna and well situated, and government helping them to graze their cattle, every other state would have been taking a coup from there. So why did they stop? Why are they insisting that they will not start Ruga unless every state in Nigeria donates land for Ruga? So that was why the southern states said no, blatantly, whether APC or PDP. But they should have gone in the north and started the Ruga project. It would have helped the pastoralists.
Okay. Well, we cannot exhaust the conversation
it's not
in 1 hour.
At all.
Yes, it's ongoing.
Yeah, an ongoing conversation.
That's right. And so we must thank everyone who called in and those who tried to but could not get through. We appreciate you. Barrister Kissinger Ikoku is a legal practitioner, a public affairs analyst, and the state legal advisor, PDP, here in Imo State. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's anchor here. Tomorrow, Friday, is Politics 107 at 9 a.m. I am Paul the Magician.
And I'm Zandas, Okeke Otimba.
Stay tuned for the news headlines. Good morning.